esthetician for over 20 years. I absolutely adore and love oil. And I have to say, at one point in my life, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, oil, like, we were in this like squeaky clean phase of our life, and oil was like an afterthought. Like, people were like, I couldn't even imagine putting oil on my face. And I think some people were still in that phase. Like, we were so used to that, especially around my age range, or
and
maybe
older,
yours, and
right?
older.
Yeah.
We got so into just like this squeaky clean phase. And now we're into this part of our, I guess, part of skincare routine that we actually want to really nourish the skin and make sure that our skin has all the nutrients, kind of like a diet that it needs. So that's where I am such a fan of Avoila, especially if you're an avocado lover. I think avocado oil is just a beautiful thing inside and outside. The omegas, the fatty acids, everything that you get from an avocado oil is so important for the skin.
And it's actually one of the only ingredients used in skincare, one of the only plant-based ingredients, I should say, that has clinical studies that talk about the efficacy of the oil itself, and it talks a lot about the healing properties. Like, they've done studies on how usually a cut on an animal is healed more quickly if avocado oil is applied on it than if it isn't.
So it's giving the nutrients back to the skin so it can heal and repair the skin. So we wanted to, if you guys have questions, but we did get some questions beforehand that we're going to start answering. One of them is from Connie from Oregon, and she asked about oily skins and oil. I think that is one of the most common questions we get quite a bit. If you want to add anything to what I'm saying, Kristy, please do. But from what I've done is oil likes oil. So an oily skin thrives more with a little bit of oil, because a lot of times oily skins can be maybe on the dehydrated side or the inflamed side. And it just needs something like a barrier to calm it down, or just adding an oil to an oil. It just helps to balance the natural oils in the skin, so the skin's not overproducing a not so good oil for the skin, something that's going to cause inflammation or breakouts or anything like that. And so adding a really nutrient dense oil back to the skin actually helps to heal, calm, and helps the skin not to produce as much oil. Yeah. So do you want to add anything to that?
Not to that necessarily, but I do. That reminds me of another question that my mom asked me recently, and she lives in Florida, so like super humid climate, right? And she's wondering how she should be using her oil, especially now as they're getting more into that summer humid climate. So if you could speak to that, because we're getting into that season now for a lot of people.
So the summer season. So I get this question quite a bit, and I think I answer this question on a daily basis, because as you know, I do facials every day of my life, and I have for so long. So when we move into a season, especially if you live in a more humid climate, I tell people maybe just add your oil in at night. If you add it in, if you've never used an oil before, start by adding it in slow. Introduce it to the skin. Your skin does not like to be shocked and overwhelmed with something like, hey, I just got this bottle of oil. I've never used it before in my life, and let me just go slather it on morning and evening. I say start by adding it in 2 to 4 times a week at night, And as we change seasons, our skin wants to shift as well. So maybe during the day, if you put less oil on, maybe it's like, a few droppers and just kind of press it into the skin, or stop using it during the day and add it in at night. Find what works for you. And then you'll put your moisturizer on top of it. And maybe you need to pick out a different moisturizer. Maybe it needs to be a lighter weight moisturizer for summer. We have to change our skincare like we change our seasons, but oils can always play a part in any season. We just have to adjust it.
That's really great advice. Yeah.
So again, using less amount, right? So if the bottle says use 6 to 8 drops, and summertime's here and you're feeling like, wow, I feel like my skin's going to fall off, and I'm outside, at the beach, or I'm mountain biking, make sure you put sunscreen on top of it. But you're doing these active things, and so then you start to feel like you're almost too sweaty or too much of something. Reduce the amount, or again, use it more in the evening time, and the skin will still just be so happy and so supple and so nourished by just using it once a day.
Yeah. The other great thing about avocado oil is it also protects your skin from the sun.
It does. It has a natural SPF.
It has a natural SPF. And if you do have a little bit of sun damage or redness from the sun, it can heal that, because we've already talked about the healing properties.
Let's talk about sunburns.
Yeah.
That actually was a question I had on here as well, is sunburns is, if you do have a sunburn, adding a little bit of that, say you got a little pink in the cheeks. This is the time of the year, especially springtime. Everybody's like ready to get outside, especially in our climate here. We get a few days of the sun and then it starts to snow and rain again. And so when it's a sunny day, I get so many people running in here with sunburns, and I'm like, all right, so let's get the oil back onto the skin. And then maybe do an aloe on top of it. And that way you won't get such a burning sensation when you put aloe on a sunburn, if you can learn to nourish it and calm it down with the oil. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. It's so good for a skin that is sunburned. Let's see if there's any more questions.
And I did want to point out that we are giving away free samples, a free sample of Avoila today. If you ask a question, I know sometimes it can be nerve-wracking to ask one, or maybe you don't have one in mind. But we are giving out. We will send you a free sample of Avoila if you ask us a question. I think we have a couple viewers here, so maybe we'll get a question. I also know
we'll send them to the people that had sent in their questions earlier, just from responses from this. So we'll make sure we send those as well.
Yeah, I don't see any questions yet. I have a question for you though, Christa.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about being an esthetician?
Ooh, there's so much. That is a loaded question, because I could go on for a while, but I have I'm a skincare junkie.
Yeah.
Like junkie. I love skincare. And that's been one of my biggest things in life, is like feeling, and I love touching it. I love playing with it. I love doing all of the self-care things. You feel better about yourself when you wake up and you take care of yourself, right? You wash your face. You wash your face before bed. I sleep better. I wake up and my skin looks better because I took care of it the night before. I don't wake up like, oh, my skin looks dry. And granted, I'm a mom of 2 kids, so it happens. I fall asleep without washing my face. Not very often. I try to do something, but it does happen. Life gets to us, and it gets, whether we're tired or we're stressed or we've had a week or whatever, I always try to make time for that skincare. So one of my favorite things about being an esthetician is really getting to work with people and giving people, I'm one that skincare is not a one size fits all. Everybody is lifestyle, water, hydration, what they drink during the day, what they eat during the day, how they live their life, how much time they spend in the sun, how much time do they spend at an office, where are they getting, are they taking vitamins and supplements and all of these things. So for me, I'm looking at everybody as a whole and wanting to give them a routine that really works for them. Will somebody sit there and do 15 products on their face at night?
Some will.
Some will. Yeah. Some want it very basic. Yeah. So I always try to customize it, understanding every person as a whole and as an individual. I think that is the most important thing to me, is wanting to give somebody a routine that they're going to love and they're going to really thrive from their skincare routine. And I think Avoila is just that perfect fit. It is just one of those just beautiful oils that have can you talk about some of the essential oil bases?
Sure. Yeah.
Geranium is
rose
one
geranium,
of them. Rose geranium
and vetiver and grapefruit.
It's
so it's
just
a beautiful
very
blend.
Uplifting scent, especially for summertime. I think it's just one of those that you breathe in and you get a smell, and it smells so delicious.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, as part of your skincare ritual, that we don't want you to forget about, which is taking it slowly, ideally, having a moment to breathe in the scent of the product that you're putting on your skin, and in applying the product, like feeling that love for yourself and for your skin, that you are doing the right thing for your body, you're doing the right thing for your peace of mind, right? Like as you're applying your product. So many of us rush through these things because we have other things to do, and then we're not doing our skin justice ultimately.
And that's the last question I wanted to finish up with is I did get a question earlier in the week about how to use it for a breathing technique, how to use it to really calm calm yourself down. And I have to say, I learned this technique. I'm also a yoga teacher. I have many different backgrounds to me, but I always have started my yoga classes and I've started my facial services and everything with 3 deep breaths. And I think it's so important to drop into the moment. So when you're using Avoila, putting your droppers in your hand, rubbing the hands together, causing that friction and that warmth, and just breathing it in. And I always take 3 deep belly breaths. And again, I like to call this breath the soother, because it, again, just really drops us into our body. So you take a deep breath in and you expand the belly first. So I always imagine the belly expanding like a balloon, and I bring that breath up into the chest, up to the crown of the head, and I open up the mouth, exhale, let it go, and do that 3 times. You can do this anytime, with Avoila, without Avoila, but again, that just drops us back into the present moment, back into our bodies, and it's so good for us to be reconnected on a daily basis with ourselves, with our heart, with our soul. So
thank you. That's great
you're
advice.
welcome. I think that's all the time we have for today, but hey, we're going to do a few more of these, and please feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. We will continue to answer anything you guys need to know about Avoila or about your home care, skincare routine, and how we can help you. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
You.
Thank you, Kristy.
Yep. Thank you.